Okay, so let's just jump right into this. Imagine for a second that we get a message from deep space. And I'm not talking about a simple hello, but a full-blown blueprint for a completely different way of life. A blueprint that seems to come from a parallel world. Now, this might sound like science fiction, but according to a newly leaked transmission, this could be our new reality. And get this, it all happened incredibly fast. Back on October 11th, 2025, an anomaly was spotted. Just a few weeks later, scientists had decoded a structured signal coming from it. And then, by October 30th, as this thing made its closest approach to our sun, it sent its final, absolutely stunning message. This is the story of that transmission. So, what exactly sent this signal? Well, let's talk about 3I/Atlas. At first, astronomers figured it was just the third interstellar object we'd ever seen passing through our solar system, a rogue comet or asteroid. But it became very clear very quickly that this was no ordinary rock. The details are what gave it away. I mean, unlike a comet, it didn't have that fuzzy haze or a tail of gas. Its light was this steady, pulsing red. And the signal, it wasn't just radio waves. We're talking about a highly complex quantum-encoded transmission. All the signs were pointing to one incredible conclusion. This was an artificial probe. And when scientists finally cracked that code, what they found was just breathtaking. It wasn't a warning about an invasion or some star map. It was a detailed social and political blueprint for a civilization they called the Arrayans. A civilization that refers to itself as a parallel harmonic intelligence, or PHI for short. So, how in the world did this parallel society actually work? Well, the answer is kind of beautiful, and it's found in a mathematical principle that they didn't just admire, they built their entire civilization around it. It all starts with phi, also known as the golden ratio. You've definitely seen this before. It's in the curve of a nautilus shell, the way a tree branches, the proportions of the Parthenon. It's this fundamental constant of harmony and balance that's found all throughout our universe. But the Orions, they didn't just admire it, they weaponized it for peace. And here's how they did it. Instead of our simple 51% majority rule for making decisions, the Arrayans required a 61.8% supermajority, which is the inverse of the golden ratio. Every single collective choice, every new law had to hit this much higher bar for consensus. And you can just imagine the effect this has. Our 51% systems, they often create these bitter win-lose battles that just create more division. The Arrayan system, on the other hand, forces consensus. The transmission says this process imprints a living memory on their society, where past choices naturally guide future ones toward harmony, and gridlock just dissolves. Okay, but this system of harmony has a much darker, more profound side to it. And this is where the Orion blueprint gets truly, truly shocking. What happens when a leader fails in their duty to maintain that harmony? They have something called the Threshold Act. Now, it is absolutely critical to understand that this is not about punishment. It's not an execution. It's not revenge. The transmission describes it as a solemn, voluntary, and sacrificial obligation. It's a way for a failed leader to personally restore the balance that they themselves disrupted. And it's a deeply ritualized process. Leaders take an oath when they enter office, pledging to this act if they fail spectacularly. It can only be invoked by that same 61.8% supermajority. The act itself is described as a final performance of grace, allowing the leader to restore their own humanity right before restoring the cosmic balance. A fragment from the decoded text puts it so chillingly. For the Arrayans, leadership wasn't just a job, it was the ultimate responsibility, an honor so profound that it was inseparable from the ultimate sacrifice. But this wasn't all just philosophy and poetry. The Atlas probe also transmitted cold, hard data, a side-by-side simulation comparing the trajectory of a society like ours with their own. And that's a fair question, right? Does trading quick, easy decisions for deep consensus actually work in the long run? Is it really more stable? Well, let's see what their simulation showed. The difference in the data is, it's stark. Compared to what they called the fractured 51% model, the Iranian system shows a dramatic drop in political polarization. And then look at the stability score. It's a significant jump up. The data seems to prove that their consensus-based system leads to a way more resilient society. The numbers don't lie. So when you boil it all down, the data shows that while the authoritarian system might be slower to pass new laws, the end result is a society that is far more stable and way less prone to the deep divisions that can literally tear a civilization apart. They trade volume for wisdom.
Which brings us to the final part of the transmission, and it's the big one. Why send this message to us? And why send it right now?
The purpose seems to be twofold. It was absolutely a warning about the path that we are on, but it was also a gift, a potential solution, a different path we could choose to take. The transmission actually described our current timeline as fat and looping, which means we're stuck in these endless cycles of partisan conflict. And this state, it claims, is a direct mirror image of a catastrophic crisis the Iranians themselves faced and only just barely survived. And this is where it gets really urgent. The probe specifically identifies the year 2025 as a pinch point. It's a critical moment where our timeline reaches a fork in the road, the exact same one they faced. The moment to choose a different path is right now. The probe's final cryptic message was this: a choice between two futures. Either we complete this spiral towards harmony, or we seal the veil, which presumably means cutting ourselves off from a more stable evolutionary path for good. And now, the probe is silent. It's heading back out into the interstellar void. It has delivered its blueprint, its data, and its final warning. What we do with that, well, that choice is now up to us.
Something I used to know.